The year was 1795, and Donald McGinnis and a couple of friends, the teenage sons of settlers on a small island in Nova Scotia, found a large circular depression in the ground with a tackle block hanging over it. A day of digging later, and the boys thought they were on the way to finding Captain Kidd's hidden treasure, a booty that had become legendary in that time. Maybe it was pirate treasure. The boys never found out. Neither did the scores of the others who spent years trying to dig it up. Some even gave their lives. Why couldn't they just dig up a buried treasure? Lots of reasons. For one, in 1802, when diggers had reached a whopping 90 feet beneath the surface, they discovered two things. First, they found an inscription that read, 20 feet below, 2 million pounds lie buried. Second, they found that whatever was below was protected by booby traps. 3 shafts connected directly to the ocean-flooded pit. Failing was useless, and attempts to dig alternate shafts failed too. More flooding booby traps. What is most fascinating is that after over 200 years, no one knows what lies down there, and not for lack of trying. There have been almost continuous attempts at digging, but it's still a very difficult proposition. Excavating that deeply, even with modern equipment and techniques. The soil at those depths is unstable, making it nearly impossible for explorers to make progress. One question we might have, since the original designers probably had a secret way of accessing the prize at the bottom, why haven't investigators tried to figure out what that might be and use it? On a side note, a critical mind might wonder what exactly is paranormal about Oak Island. Okay, we admit it. Probably nothing. But in our own defense, this does involve a heavy dose of the unexplained, and so far, inexplicable. Close enough, don't you think? Yes, you know it from the Da Vinci Code. That's so 2005 of you. Here are a few things you might not know about Scotland's most famous chapel. For one, Rosslyn Chapel was the first Masonic temple. Many believe that Freemasonry was not founded until the 18th century, but all indications are that the Knights Templar, who weren't killed in Philip the Fair's Inquisition, fled to Scotland and carried on their traditions in secret. The Templar descendants built Rosslyn Chapel and went on to turn the Knights' traditions the rites of Freemasonry. But the strangeness doesn't stop there. It only begins there. Did you know that the chapel is an exact replica of the Temple of Solomon in Jerusalem? The original was destroyed by King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon. This has led some researchers to wonder if the lost treasures of Solomon's temple, including the famous Ark of the Covenant, are buried in the sealed secret chamber below Rosslyn's floor. Yes, that part of Da Vinci Code was absolutely true. There is a secret chamber beneath the floor, just as the original Temple of Solomon. Rosslyn Chapel also features stone carvings of ears of corn, carved many years before corn was first seen in the New World. This could be an amazing coincidence, or it could indicate that the Templar Masons had knowledge of the Americas that they kept to themselves. The mind boggles. The temple ceiling, with its arches that feature 213 decorative cubes, is actually sheet music made of stone. Researchers have cracked the code that turned the cipher into music, and it was first performed on May 18, 2007, inside Rosslyn Chapel, of course. The music is now available on CD. No one knows who built it or why. We can only estimate when. Let's just stipulate to their humanity. Here's something most people don't know. Stonehenge is merely the granddaddy of giant block megalith henges. There are over 50,000 of them worldwide when it was built. Construction began around 3000 BC. That's right, by the time Jesus was walking the earth, doing his Jesus thing, Stonehenge was already an ancient monument. One thing's for sure. The Druids did not build Stonehenge. They came too late, only appearing around the time of Christ. In fact, scientists and historians today have absolutely no idea who built it. They can name off a long list of groups who didn't build it, including Phoenicians, Gauls, Saxons, Danes, and Romans. Some collection of people got together 5,000 years ago, gathered giant blocks of stone, cut and arranged them, and then were completely lost to history. Of course, you accept that they were human at all. Since we want to be taken seriously, let's just stipulate to their humanity. Here's something most people don't know. Stonehenge is merely the granddaddy of giant block megalith henges. There are over 50,000 of them worldwide, from Europe all the way to North Africa. So whoever built these things seemed to get around. Or word about how to build a henge made it around the world in a time when walking was the only mode of transportation. Oh, that's another thing. How did they build Stonehenge? Each block, 13 feet high, over 4 meters, weighs an impressive 40 tons. Researchers have tried a lot of different ways of moving gigantic stones using the technology of 3000 BC, with varying degrees of success. Maybe the unknown ancients could have done it, but it would have been a tremendous feat requiring engineering genius. Let's not even get started on how they got the stones upright. That's a whole other problem. And please don't bring up how they got those capstones up there. Why was it built? Well, it turns out there's a pretty good guess. It's a cosmic calendar and a ceremonial stage. On the days of the summer and winter solstice, the sun rises exactly over a prominent stone, or the heel stone. It may have done more, but no one's figured that out yet. Meanwhile, the site was also used for burials, possibly human sacrifice, and probably for religious ceremonies. The Winchester Mansion, built by Sarah Winchester, beginning in 1886, is arguably the most famous haunted house in the world. It's definitely the craziest. One construction stated it never stops, not even at night. Builders were on the job 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, for 36 years straight. The construction finally ceased when Mrs. Winchester passed away. There was no specific building plan, mind you, only orders to keep building and building. The result? Staircases that led to nowhere. Upper story doors that opened to nothing except outside air. Hallways that seemed to collapse as you walked through them. In short, insanity. Not that you can blame the old bat for going batty. Her husband, William Winchester, was the president of the Winchester Repeating Arms Company, manufacturer of the guns that won the West. In other words, the rifles that killed millions of American Indians. William died in 1881, but not before their only child, Annie, died mere weeks after birth. Sarah sought solace in a spiritual medium, partly because of her grief and partly because of the tremendous guilt she developed in proxy for her husband's bloody business. It hadn't taken long before she believed that she was being hunted. The medium told Sarah, "Go west, build a house, and be sure you keep those angry spirits at bay. Keep building it in any which way you can confuse the angry ghosts." Hence the insane mansion. When